Welcome to the discard pile. I'm your host, John Corbett.
You wish. You wish.
This is Charlie Plaine rage quit his own podcast. I'm going to hijack it. I think we were talking about IC draft. I was taking credit for the new rule that you can play anybody for +1 if they don't belong at the headquarters. So, Charlie, what do you think about them stealing my rule for draft? What do you think about Jersey fixing another format?
It's like you stealing my podcast because you're a jerk. Some face turn you're in the middle of.
Yeah,
John
I'm not
Corbett.
doing a good job. I'm not very good.
So we were talking about. I apologize for the technical difficulties. We were talking about Cube, and the guys, I guess, down in Sydney had made a cube. The cube is interesting, and it's definitely something I would be cool with supporting officially. I mean, it's fairly easy.
I don't know what cube is. What is cube?
Cube is. You want to explain it, Greg?
Not really. I don't. They just give me cards and I draft them.
So
Thanks,
basically, a cube is a box of 300 or so cards, however many, and you sort of randomly portion it out into packs and give those out to people and draft from the packs.
Okay.
Typically, people build cubes. It's a very Magic thing, but typically people build cubes around themes. So, like in Trek, you could have a Dominion War cube or whatever you wanted, and then it's basically. And then the idea is, when you're done, everybody throws all the cards back in the box, and it's ready to go for next time.
So it came from Magic?
I don't remember where the original idea came from. It is a very popular way to draft Magic. So
you would where would you pull the cards from for the cube? From anywhere or from X amount of sets?
Well, usually you build it. Like when you sit down to make your cube, you say, I'm going to make it based around a theme. So if your theme is like, the Dominion War, for example, you put in some Dominion cards, you put in some DS9 cards, you put in Cardassian cards and some Klingon cards,
yeah, you could do
some
like
Romulan cards, and
Klingon Civil War, Dominion War. You could come up with that.
You can pick whatever theme you want. And the nice thing about it is it's reusable. So you build it and then you throw them all in a box and then you just bring it out next time you want to draft. The downside is it's always the same cards. So if you do it frequently, you're seeing the same cards over and over again. Whereas the draft,
you could put together a couple guys to come up with stuff like that, and then work forward from that.
So I think that's something that we could certainly do in the future. I think infinite diversity isn't going away, especially now we've got revised rules for it. But I think we could support a cube draft too. What else do you guys want to chat about? Matt Zeno, you joined us late. Do you have any?
Oh, I did, yeah.
You joined us later than when everybody else joined. Is there anything on your mind that you wanted to talk about? So.
I'm looking forward to the next 1E set. Wondering when some information is gonna start coming out about it. Not that I expect to be able to know, but.
Well, the next 1E set is going to be previewed at Gen Con next week. We are not as far along as we were hoping, so you're not going to be getting fully finished cards at the preview. You'll be getting design mock-ups.
So you're not talking trailer, you're talking like that 15-second teaser they play at Comic-Con that shows you nothing.
The cards are finished, but instead of, finished footage with finished effects, it's more like, it's more like the dummy effects you get when they sometimes show footage ahead of time. Like you'll see the cards, they just won't have pictures, basically. So we're gonna spoil that there, and then the set's not far from being done. Art, it's in the final stage right now. Where Art's building the files, the final proofreading is happening. I think the set is probably going to drop in August. So. Not terribly far from.
They don't want to talk about 1E. They want to talk about Gen Con. By them, I mean 2 people in the chat room. That's what they want to hear about. Charlie, what's going to win Gen Con? We had Europeans. We haven't done the European autopsy yet. So what's to be taken from Euro going into North American Continentals? What do you think is going to happen at Gen Con? What's your prediction for 2E?
I don't know. The interesting thing is that for the first time in a long time, I don't have a great sense of what what the top players are going to bring. I mean, I think the last couple expansions have brought a lot of.
Well, we've had good diversity. The last couple Gen Cons, we've been real good. There's been all sorts of different decks. My only concern is that might go away because of Voyager's been hot lately because of lower decks. I don't know. Do you want to talk about the elephant in the room? Possible.
The Kira Leffler deck.
Yeah, you want to talk? You want to? I'll steal Josh Sheets' thunder and spill some errata team gossip, but that's up to you.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that's gonna get killed before Gen Con. So
it's not gonna get killed, but guess what? First Officer Kira is a problem that should be taken care of a long time ago. By taking care of, I mean just once a turn. It was never meant to dump a deck, and if she was, whoever designed it was a bad move. So.
Well, I mean, again, by the time the majority of people are watching this, the information will be out there. Kira and Leffler are both getting errata tonight. So, like, by the time the majority of people are watching this, that's old news. So the errata team made an emergency decision. They have that power to limit Kira and Leffler to once each turn. Now, I understand with Kira, what was that?
That's a bad errata for Leffler, though.
No, Leffler. I don't know about. I don't think Leffler's one G's turn. I don't know if that got approved.
Leffler, he's got to switch the wording. You have to have a top personnel, and then she's fine.
You have to understand. This is as I understand it, as it was presented to me, Kira's errata is official. Leffler's errata is. They
discussed or something.
It's being discussed, but she can't stay the way she was. Like, the problem with making her once her turn is she then becomes useless for the intended purpose. Right? Listen, the intended purpose is get your stopped people out of harm's way.
I think we figured out how to. It might not be official yet, but we figured out she should be a one-off to beam up all your unstopped people. She shouldn't be a way to dump your deck. That's not what. So the fix is in, but I'm not sure. Like I said, it's just between Josh, Nick, and going up the chain now, but. I don't think Leffler is going to get, and if it is, it's just temporary going into, Gen Con of Worlds. But we know what the solution. We know the problem is Kira, and then Leffler with the other ones.
The problem with Kira is, it's just too good to be able to convert a massive hand into all those free people. The problem with Leffler was that she enables all of the shenanigans with the discard pile, and so. Robin Leffler should be able to do what she was created to do, which is save your team. And by making her once per turn, she can't do that anymore. However, as a stopgap in terms of saying we don't want you to be able to enable. Now, if this were 1E, Robin Leffler would have gone on the ban list. Mm-hmm. Since 2E doesn't have a ban list, this is but it's basically the same thing. And
honestly, no one. Listen, I've never seen the original Robin Leffler used. So even if this is a temporary stopgap, who gives up until this point, it won't affect anybody using Robin Leffler for the proper way anyway, because I've never seen it happen. So I mean, if we got to do something for a month or two until we get it sorted, and it will get sorted out. We already had the solution. I forget what it was, but
it's got to run through Plaine.
A lot of Win anyway. Win's the real Win and Kira. You don't need Leffler for that deck. Steve Hartman's deck does the exact same thing without her.
Win is. A lot of people have talked about Win, and she's. I mean, you could have come out of the gate and probably eroded like 4 cards, but Win's ability to fill your hand doesn't mean anything if Kira could only go once a turn.
Yeah.
Right. So there was really no need to change both of those.
It's Kira. Kira's the bad one.
Leffler's ability means nothing if Win's ability fills your hand, and then that doesn't mean anything.
Except that this isn't the first time that a Robin Leffler has showed up in a combo deck. So that was, I think the errata team. I can't say for anything, but I think they felt like they missed Robin Leffler, so they wanted to do something about it so that it didn't get missed again. I can't speak for them. So.
Well, I mean, no. Leffler's. Like I said, no one's ever used her. No one. I don't even remember seeing original Leffler in any decks. Now, we all knew First Officer Kira. It was dirty, but I mean, the errata team isn't. We're not prophets. We solve problems. Here's the problem. So, who cares? I mean, good fair play to the European who won with it, but People can't be mad. You got to pay for shit in 2E. That's just the bottom line. You can wiggle around a little bit and get a little bit of cost reduction, but you can't just have like Nathan Samuels is another example. You just can't have dump. You can't have dump decks. It's not how the game works.
Win did firmly remind me why every card gets a limit. You know, you can't use soft limits on cards of, you know, X copies of a card existing. You have to put a numerical limit on all these repeatable abilities. So
I found it weird that Win has limit on one thing with the attribute boost, but not the draw.
The attribute, you have to limit attribute boosts because otherwise Michael Van Bremen builds a deck that solves every mission with 2 people.
You can't have
In
no
one
limit.
attempt.
He strokes off to go Val all the time. You can't stop.
Ducat doesn't have a limit. The other problem with Win is filling your hands. You know what you can do with filling your hand? Go Val. Also, no limit.
Well, yeah. This is just the design 101 lesson here is stop making cards with no limits. Although most of them are not. Most of them aren't CC cards. I'll say that at least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but Kira was from a Decipher set, right?
Yeah.
And come on, we all know when there's a problem, it's either downloading or the discard pile. 99% of the time, that's where your culprit's going to be. And this is a discard pile problem. That's just how it is. People find the gap good for them. They win at Continentals, maybe a Worlds, and then it gets fixed. That's just nothing. I don't see anything wrong with that.
So, I mean, going back to the original question, what's going to show up at Gen Con? I mean, Voyager is good. There's been a lot of talk about what's it's called, Homeward Bound.
They don't care about that. They care about the guy who downloads it.
Well, sure, but I mean,
download, red alert.
Download is not. Like, I'm not gonna ever not make download cards. There need to be download cards. That's just
not specific though. Download to interrupt. Didn't we learn our lesson from Mara? Didn't we learn our lesson? No.
It's a very different scenario. So, in one particular deck, unless you're paying out the nose for it. So.
I'm okay with it, but it's because it's like let Voyager have a run. That's just not Chuckles getting Chuckles ran down your throat. So I'm okay with Voyager having. I
mean, but this is the thing. Interrupt kill is constant in this game.
We don't have enough interrupt prevention. Not even close.
Yeah. Oh, whatever. Grav trap and well, I mean, it might have been better if somebody hadn't routed holding cell to be 6 DS9 people.
Oh, stop it! Oh, fuck the face turn. No. No, what? You open the door because you and Tyler ganged up on me and says, "Oh, that wasn't the intent of the card." You know what? Design intent is not sanctimonious. You guys aren't all. You got design fucks up. Let's just be honest. It's a human endeavor, like every other human endeavor, like government. It fucks up. So I don't care what the.
My goodness, John, how did you make it so that I had to agree with you on something?
Uh-oh, sounds like Andrea last week. Uh-oh.
Look, I agree. We make. The whole reason we have a rules committee and we have errata teams that aren't designed are because we make mistakes, and it's one of the only reasons that Phase 2 is able to push as much as it is because we got rid of that whole, like, we're afraid of making broken cards mentality. Like, we're not trying to make broken cards. We don't set out to make a broken card, but we feel like we can push power level now.
But what was wrong with that? I have no problem with what holding cell was, and I think you shouldn't have a problem with what holding cell is. You said, yeah.
There is no, and this is what I told you. There is no way that I would make the card that Holding Cell was now. But if you're telling me that the game needs more interrupt prevention, you took one of the best interrupt prevention cards and limited it. Is all my counter argument was.
First of all, Charlie, that card was. We have a whole show about how bad of a card that was. But what's how you made it? And it fits in so many. It would fit in so many decks. At least now it's focused on it. And you can still play in 3 headquarters. That's not focused.
What we really need is another universal interrupt or event preventer like Plaine Trap. Because the problem is, you can only use 3 of them, right? There's so many events and interrupts you got to prevent. You've only got 3 of Plaine Trap. There has to be another one.
I would argue that there needs to not be a universal one, but there needs to be more affiliation-specific ones.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So that more affiliations can use their prevention card plus the 3 grav traps to get 6 kills.
But how long is it going to take?
Don't be as good as Cisco. Cisco shows you how it can be too good. You need something in between.
So for like the next 3 sets, we have maybe 7 affiliations have enough interrupt prevention until everyone gets one, and they just got to wait.
But the whole point is to make affiliations matter, and if you start making more universal... I mean, you want to run a universal kill card, run Amanda. There's 2 right there. Now you got Amanda and you got Grav Trap. I mean, how many universal kill cards do you make before there's no point in making affiliated kill cards?
But how do you get in the 5 points to play Amanda when your Romulan opponent's using Fast-Seeing Eyes on the second turn?
Well, there are plenty of ways to get 5 points. I've seen many decks get lots of bonus points. They just do 2 missions and stop. If you really want to run event...
Well,
I understand.
I'm talking early preventing something like a Fast-Seeing Eyes from screwing you on the second turn.
Well, what couldn't Grav... I mean, the argument could be made that any event could screw you if they play it on the first or second turn. You might not have a counter card in your hand.
Not every event. Stuff that removes your cards from the game is probably a bigger problem than any event.
I understand, but there's not very many of those. That's a very limited...
Speaking of errata, Amber brought up the Green Girls. We do have to mention that the Green Girls were actually pre-errata team, right, Charlie? They were all set up to go for Thieves. And
yeah,
then,
I mean that was an errata that was kicked around forever. I'm not sure why we pulled. I don't understand the timing of it, other than I guess they just wanted it off the books.
It was on the table. Yeah, we got done. I mean, like I said before, when I stepped down and Josh took over, we pretty much did all the nuts and bolts, a lot of rewording, Kirk, Scotty. We did most of this stuff, so now we're able to, that came back. Like, remember these girls we were going to fix? So then we're like, all right, let's
get I just don't understand why it needed to be done right now.
Well,
and I think that's what some people. I think that's what some people are concerned about. It's not necessarily this was a bad errata, because it's not. It's good to limit those cards, but I think it was just like, why are we doing it now?
Why are we doing it anytime? When? December? Who cares? I don't understand.
I'm just explaining why I think some people were.
But people complain about anything. It finally got to a time where we had the time to do it and get it done. But that's good though. It's specific, Charlie. Things can be powerful if they're specific. And now I think Navarre should have went back to being while instead of when, but we didn't want to go that far because it was specific to Thieves. So it's okay to be powerful.
All right, so it's been about an hour. We talked for half an hour about tribbles and wasted a few minutes on technical difficulties. So we're going to run a little late, but that's okay. What else is on the table from you guys?
Well, here, I got a question. So if Voyager is the go-to for Gen Con, what eats Voyager?
Battle.
Run more space dilemmas.
Old school Klingon kill battle. That's what killed Voyager.
I mean,
Insurrection, is that the card I'm thinking of?
It doesn't affect caretakers or what? All right.
Yeah, it doesn't.
New marquee mission with the Define, you get free draws off a Voyager deck every turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, not Insurrection. There's a card. I'm sorry, I don't know 2E as well. There's a card that says you can't do this mission unless you've done all your other ones first.
Biogenic weapon.
Okay.
Which that could hurt Voyager a lot because it's going to force them into 5 missions.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, not necessarily because they'll have 5 space missions. They just do the other 4. But if they chose their missions poorly, that could hurt them. I mean, if one of the reasons 5 space is good is that most dilemma piles don't run a lot of space dilemmas. Everybody skews their dilemma pile for the whole space planet meta, and Voyager takes that and just gives it a big giant thumbs up or middle finger. So I mean, if you want to have a better chance to hit Voyager, run more space dilemmas. It's a risk, but
people it's good because people we learn even from the new Lucas's breakdown. People aren't playing space dilemmas still. That's why I think we did a great job with those Gamma Quadrant missions because it's so heavy towards duel. Even those missions aren't slowing people down. I don't know what it'll take.
So if the meta says Voyager's going to do well, then the meta is going to say that space dilemmas are going to do well. Does the meta say you play con?
I don't know what happened.
No, I don't think you ever play. I don't think you ever play con at Continental.
Did Matt just divide by 0? I don't know what happened.
Is Neil Timmons going to Gen Con?
He says he's not. I don't know.
Well, I can tell you, if Neil Timmons comes up, Marquis wins. Like, it wins the tournament. Done.
Why? Why does it win? Why? I think.
Well,
I don't
keep in
want to.
mind,
I don't
keep
want
in
to.
mind that there's no bracket this year.
I don't want to talk about Neil Timmons and Gen Con in the same sentence, if we're going to be honest. So let's just move on from that.
I mean, I have a hard. I'm curious why you say Maquis wins when the road to victory is 2 Swiss tournaments instead of a bracket this year. So, because the Maquis deck doesn't get full wins.
I forgot. Are we allowed to switch decks? Are we switching decks?
You can switch decks, yes.
Yeah, that's good.
Maquis
That's good.
do get full wins.
Okay, all of the Maquis decks I have seen, and I'm only speaking from my experience, all the Maquis decks I have seen at high-level play never get full wins. Almost never. They play to time, and it's a modified win.
Yeah, but what does a Maquis deck need? It needs a denial dilemma pile. It needs an ace pile. What happens when your ace pile runs into Terra Ignore? What happens? You lose. You just straight up lose when you have zero cards to face.
You destroy the Terra Ignore events, so then your dilemma pile never gets touched.
Yeah, I don't know. Not really. You're not gonna stop them all.
So what's the matchup for Maquis versus Voyager then?
You gotta outspeed. Yeah, that's good though. Speed always beats Maquis. Pure speed. If your Voyager deck's fast enough, you might blaze straight up through Maquis.
Pure speed is your best bet, but the new Voyager, where you have to do 4 missions, that can't be fast enough. Doing 4 missions against a kill pile, I hope you've got like 50 people in your deck.
I hope we're done with kill piles. I hope we're done. Are we done? Are we done with kill piles? Like, for the love of Christ, it's been 10 years.
Tragic turn, man. It both saved the game and made Dilemma boring. No,
it put a couple dollars in Warren Holland's pocket. It did not.
Which kept the game in print for another 5 years. Or 4 years, or however long it was.
No, it did. Now how is one boutique set going to keep the lights on? Loader kept the lights on. Lord of the Rings did.
Loader kept Deciphers really lights on. The Necessary Evil and Fractured Time kept
all those French Canadians buying up Lord of the Rings cards kept the lights on. Was it Fractured Time?
So, to answer the original question, which we really haven't, I mean, you can get into serious meta-analysis paralysis here because, Voyager can get eaten by a kill pile or Maquis, but a kill pile can get eaten by Terra Ignore. There's a lot of good speed solvers out. I mean, you're gonna see some Gamma Quadrant speed solvers, because those two Stakoron missions are both really good.
Will we see the return of the Borg?
Maybe. I don't know.
Come on. Come on, man.
Make a prediction.
I think just high-level players are just, for lack of a better term, they don't know what to do with the Borg without Quintessence.
Oh, they're still lazy? Oh, I've done it on previous podcasts. I called them lazy and other bad words. That once you take something away, it's like, oh, I don't know how to. Oh, it's not just download wherever the fuck I want, so I'm not going to play it. What's the next thing I can download whatever I want? So, yeah, you do have a point.
Well, I mean, basically, once Quintessence got errated, it's not a shock that everybody went to play Romulan, where you could still dial whatever you wanted. That is a certain caliber of competitive player is going to play the most scriptable deck. So, the most scripted deck they can find. So.
I trademark it, the path of least resistance. That's what they do, and that's what makes them tier 1 players.
We used to call them trained monkey decks up here.
There's a lot. Well, that's what the deck was. I called the deck that Euros won. It was an XYZ deck. It's get Kira, Leffler, Opaka, and go. And that's why even I felt Ferengi were kind of like that. It was like, let me get Gint, Harlanor, and then a roll in my core, and then I'm blazing out. And I had some success with that deck, but it was so boring because it was just an XYZ deck.
I mean, if you're asking me what I think will end up winning, I don't think Voyager will win. I put some money on a DS9 Gamma Solver, the Ferengi Mass Counter deck is always the Nat Kirtan play 40 counters worth of cards is still really good. Rule 33 is really good.
Why don't we have a card that puts a cap on the counters in the turn? If we have why don't we have a card that says you can only play 7 counters in a turn, an event, something like that?
Who knows? Maybe it'll happen.
I think we just did something. I
think we will see Voyager in the top. I think it's whatever it is, 8 or 16, depends on the numbers, but I think it's 8 or less. We'll see Voyager in the top 8, but I don't see it winning. I don't see it winning to a more traditional solver.
I'm predicting the return of the Borg, and that's not because I'm playing it. I'm not playing it. I'm done playing Borg at high level events.
Time a solver actually won a Continentals or Worlds.
When was the last time a Continentals or Worlds was done without a bracket? You can't ignore the fact that for 5 years most of these championships have been decided in bracket play, which for better or worse alters the way the game is played. That's one of the reasons I'm excited to see this, because this is probably going to be the most, there are a lot of arguments against bracket because it's a very different way of playing. This is going to be telling to see how much strength those arguments have.
It's a Swiss tournament. It's 4 rounds, right?
The final? No, it's 3 rounds.
It's 3.
It's top 8, so it's 3 rounds. It's a normal tournament.
So you could win with 3 modified wins. You get 9 points.
In theory, you could win with 3 modified wins.
2 falls and a loss to you.
Once
Would
again,
you lose to anybody who gets 2 full wins? Or
No,
do you just need 1 full?
2 full wins and a loss is also 9, and if it's head to head,
they lost to you. Sorry.
Yeah, but you get into an issue if there's a 3-way tie. If you have 3 people at 9 points, then the math becomes harder.
Situations like that are why the OPG say it should be 4 rounds.
Well, sure, but
differential solves all those problems. It really does. I just do. Speaking of things I want to take credit of, I don't know if Charlie remembers. I ran in nationals in not Virginia Beach, Newport News, or back in those Virginia Players on the peninsula, and that format was 4 rounds of Swiss, a cut, 3 rounds of Swiss, and then a final confrontation. So this format, it's good, it works, and I invented that too. I'm not doing a good face promo tonight. I'm an asshole. I invented everything.
All right. Final thoughts. Last topic from anybody. Last questions. Greg, did you have any?
Maybe.
What was that?
Quantum incursions, maybe.
Quantum incursions.
Okay.
All right. Well, we'll do Gen Con 1E, and then we'll talk about quantum incursions, and we'll be here another hour. But that's fine. Gen Con 1E is the same format. I mean, it's so many rounds of Swiss, cut to top 4, I think, and then play another tournament. What do you think, Matt? You're probably the biggest 1E guy here. What's your prediction?
I think we're going to see a lot of Genesis device, and maybe some Cybok.
I mean, people have talked about the Cybok deck. I haven't seen it in action yet. I've looked at the Genesis. I've looked at the Genesis deck lists, and it's possible that a lot of people will try it. I don't know. It seems to me that a well-timed Disruptor Overload ruins that deck's day.
Yeah, but it's tough for it to be well-timed. It can be a narrow window.
Yeah, I mean,
and people who are going to be having the Genesis device are going to be expecting that, are going to throw other equipment in there as well.
Sure.
Even with the well-timed, you've got a random dice roll.
I mean, a lot. We removed in the zone. We wanted to see what happens, and if 80% or more of the decks are all playing the same thing, then I think you take a look at it. But it's. I don't think that is a particularly easy deck to play.
The Cybok?
Yeah.
Well, Cybok in particular,
even worse.
in the zone, the doubling points, solving 2 missions thing. There's a lot of 1E in that deck, and a lot of the people that are playing 1E are more like, I'm going to play my solver deck and just kind of beat on missions and do cool stuff. They like the tactics of the dilemma phases and stuff. Playing that deck is that you have to be in a particular 1E mindset, and there will be 1E players there that are good at it. So we'll see. I mean,
if you can pull it off, if you can do the 2-mission win, then that means you're seeing fewer dilemmas, and that's a great thing.
I will give everybody right now my pro tip. Go look at the backwards compatible card. What is the name of the thing? Surprise Amity. That is my pro tip. Because it's mission debriefing that doesn't hit you, and it stops all their people everywhere in play. So the whole, I'm going to beam down and solve with 4 and get the Genesis device and have my whole rest of the crew on the ship. Now you can stop them everywhere.
They need more points than you, though.
Yeah, but they're probably winning if they're speed solving, 2 mission winning. So.
And it's an interrupt, so again, it has to be well timed.
Yeah. The other thing is here, it's the trick of that deck is that they're cryo-satelliting into the into the Genesis device. So if you can,
or you use the Genesis planet.
True, which you could also do. So seed heavy at Genesis planet, or bring 18 space dilemmas and make them miserable. So
I gotta say, I would love for Cybok to win, just because I've tried playing that deck, and I think that would just be funny as hell. I don't think it's gonna go anywhere. It's too brittle of a deck. A speed solver will just mow it down.
So speaking of randomness in 1E, you mentioned quantum incursions, Greg. What did you want to bring up about this ridiculously fun card that everybody should like because it's fun?
Greg doesn't like fun. When I played a little 1E in Seattle, I hit that card and it had the 2 telepathy or something, and I just got clowned, and I was okay with it. You gotta like it. It's random. You spin the wheel, you get shit on. You can't rage quit when it happens.
I don't actually mind quantum incursions. A lot of people dislike it, but you got to give some affiliations some more AU. To be honest, like even the empathy, you can get that, I guess, but like AU can be really tough for like a K content.
Yeah, I think that there is a need for. I think that the dislike of quantum incursions isn't the, and I'm just conjecturing, isn't the randomness of it. Although there are people that hate randomness and they're going to hate that card no matter what. There are certain affiliations that have a better time of passing this than others, and some people don't like, a card that basically says, well, this card is out here, Kazon are terrible, for example.
Oh, I mean, we have that card already. It's called In the Pale Moonlight. Like there's tons of cards that basically just pick an affiliation and bend them over the table. It's been there for years.
What affiliation is going to fail in the Pale Moonlight?
Oh,
3 times. Sorry.
Well, that's the flip side of it, though. I mean, In the Pale Moonlight is hard on some affiliations. I think there's just some people who haven't figured out that, hey, if you're only going to pass one of the 6 of these choices, you probably should go do something else. Like, don't just keep banging on this and hoping that the dice gods are going to smile on you. You're playing a card game. The dice gods hate you.
Yeah. I always build decks to try to be able to solve every dilemma, every wall dilemma, and this counts as a wall dilemma. Put the things in that it needs.
I agree with you, Greg, that we need to diversify like DS9 could use a little more empathy. I mean, you have Altivar and the other Lethian. There's like 2. There's like 2 DS9 empathy.
Give him a Luxwana like you did for Tui. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we could give some more of those type of skills to some more affiliations, and that card would be less of a thorn. The people who hate randomness are always going to hate it, but I think
why don't you just make it? It's 1E. Why don't you just make a yellow wharf who just gets past it? It's 1E. You don't need to think about it. Just pick Dixon Hill.
It's a Kira. Just make another Kira.
I think that I stand by the card. I think it's fun. I think it is exactly the type of card that Decipher would have made if they were making the Fajo collection last year.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, I agree.
There would have been a card like that in there. So
here's my thing on 1E.
Kind of card, but not necessarily those requirements.
Greg, did all your people get killed? When you got stopped by quantum incursion, did all your people die?
I didn't get stopped by it. I played Federation TNG, so I just rolled through it.
This is 1E. All your people can fucking die. Just get stopped.
I can't play a Erosion deck because where do I get AU from? Like, I have Doctor Talacromor.
There is an AU Kazon Vidian in Erosion. It was in one of the early virtual sets. There's a universal AU guy for each of those affiliations, I believe.
I don't think they're AU.
I swear there was maybe this is just an AU Vidian.
There's a universal. Oh, there might be a Vidian.
Vidian there is, but there's no Erosion.
Okay.
So I've got Doctor Talacromor, and then I just can't, like, I'm done. Like, that's my one dude. How do I get another one?
Well, you could play Warship Voyager. You could play Voyager and all the hologram guys. So.
If you're playing Voyager, you're not worrying about property logos, and so you can TMW in anybody. Put in Gem, and she's got the 2 empathy also.
Yeah, so now I have to see another card to get Gem.
I'll tell you this: if you hate Quantum Incursions now, one of the first drafts of it had gold stars in its requirement.
That's
so
easy.
The Borg,
Borg.
unless you're playing Borg, and then they threw a temper tantrum like you wouldn't believe.
You know what the Borg can do? Adapt.
They can't adapt.
They can't adapt the dilemma. You can't adapt the doorway.
Greg just realized how first edition's played. He just doesn't.
I play it once a year now. Once a year.
Greg, don't ever try to figure out 1E. You don't ever try to figure it out. You just ride with it, baby. Hey, man, when I play 1E now, all I want to do is conduct services at the Bajoran Shrine and Dabo all day. I don't even care about trying to win the game. And Justin, last game, he blew up my Bajoran Shrine. I challenge anybody to tell me a game where they had their Bajoran Shrine blown up. That's not cool.
I've done that. I did that to Dan Hammond.
Oh, he deserved it. He's a bad
man. Neil managed to Dabo with Borg.
That's talent.
Alrighty, we're gonna wrap things up. I want to thank Alan and Greg, John and Matt for being on the show tonight. This was hopefully entertaining and informative for those of you. Couple quick announcements. Currently, we are accepting applications for the director of organized play. Matthias is stepping down at the end of the year, and we are looking to bring someone on to overlap. So we're accepting applications. You can find all the information on the front page. Tribbles Royale comes out in 40 minutes, or most of you who are watching this on YouTube, it's out, so go grab it and download it.
Damn, we didn't stall long enough.
Yeah. If I'd thought about it, I would have made the show at 8 o'clock, but that's besides the point. I will put a link somewhere here, and there'll be a link in the description to vote on the time for episode 4 of the Observation Lounge. I've got 3 dates picked in August that I'm available, so let me know which ones work for you. I imagine that the show post Gen Con will be, looking at the 3 continentals and previewing worlds and probably talking about crossover somewhat and whatever else is out there. So with that said, I hope everybody enjoyed the show and shares your thoughts with us. Everybody live long and prosper, and with that, this Observation Lounge is closed.